Jeff Rust posed the question, which is more probable? The Blazers get swept in Denver in their 2-game set, or they win one. We both said swept. We both said swept in that one.
I wasn't going to say swept or sweep because we knew the sweep was not going to happen.
Yeah.
The thing is...
Yeah, that's right.
The Blazers, they did acquit themselves.
I thought the Blazers played pretty damn well in their 2 losses in Denver. 120-108 on Friday, and then yesterday a 112-103 defeat at the hand of the Nuggets, where they came out fire, man. 37 points in the first quarter. It was like, whew, all right, here we go now.
Yeah.
And then just the slow trickle of this team does not have depth, and they got tired and wore out.
Yeah, 2 of the best players, Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon, both out. So it's not exactly a surprise. Friday evening, you come out again. I will never forget this as long as I'm alive and covering basketball. We had Terry Porter on Outsiders one night in the 2019 playoff series. And he got there probably an hour early. And I asked him about playoff stuff and playing in Denver. And when we started talking about playing in Denver, especially in games that matter, his eyes just kind of like glazed over. And he was like, oh, man, there is no worse place to play. It just sucks. He goes, that altitude saps every last bit out of your legs. And if you remember Terry Porter in his prime, there were not many athletes in better shape than Terry Porter in his prime.
He was jacked.
And
all those guys were.
Oh, God, that whole team was jacked. But, I mean, Terry Porter was just a specimen. If this is a guy who prides himself on playing, press defense 38 minutes a night, just a dude who's just after you all night long. And he was just like, the thing about playing in Denver is no matter when you get there, the first shift and the first 15 minutes are gonna kick your butt. Doesn't matter who you are. It does not matter who you are. There's no overcoming it. Unless you live there, which is why it's such an advantage, it is going to get you. Now, can you survive those first 15 minutes? And if you can survive those first 15 minutes and be in the game or have a push to kind of figure it out down the stretch, then you've got a chance any given night. Any night. But that first 15 minutes, Portland on Friday got the crap kicked out of them. They can only score 20 points. They got nothing. They got no legs. Shots aren't falling. But then you saw them warm into the game, and the shot making started coming. And Scoot Henderson comes out and goes bonkers in that second quarter.
Scoot's been playing really well lately.
Since January 1st, he's averaging 14 and 4, almost 5. His shooting is still lagging behind, just under 40%, but he's shooting 35.5% from 3, which passable, especially considered. His biggest issue now is the inconsistency finishing at the rim. He was 1 for 10 on 2s yesterday.
Yeesh.
Just stuff rolling out, being altered. He's got to figure out his footwork. That's as much as everybody wants to talk about his shooting. For me, and we talked about this, I want to say about a week ago, Scoot's footwork is the thing that he needs to sort out the soonest. Because if he can get to the rim and finish and be an above average or plus finisher, that opens everything else up.
Again, 20 now.
Yeah, just turned 20. He's no longer a teenager.
He's got a lot of time.
And you're already seeing the growth. You saw it Friday night when he gets out there and he's the kind of the guy that answers the bell first. Then Anthony Simons comes to life and he just starts torching them. Then you had Dwop Reith knock down some shots. You started getting
green light Dwop.
Listen, if there's one thing I love about Wop is you do not worry. They've got some guys on this team, and Chris Murray and Jabari Walker and Tamani Kamara, who are young guys who are figuring it out, and they get a catch and shoot opportunity, and you see a little hitch. Like they're questioning, I'm not shooting real well. I need to let this go.
Couple of them last night with Tamani.
Yep, but it hits Wop's hands. He's open. That thing going up. No questions about it. It is the Wes Matthews of bigs. People used to call Wes a black hole, and I'm like, yeah, that's what he's out there to do. He's out there to play defense and shoot. Wop is out there to spread the floor, take threes, and be a hustle guy. So if he gets an opportunity on a trailing 3, let it go.
But Dwop Reith is not the guy that, like, we talk about the building blocks and foundational pieces.
He's a rookie, but he's 28 years old.
Moving forward here in Portland, yeah. He's not that guy. I think what you're seeing is a lot of those building block guys, though, and look, Chris Murray experience, starting lineup,
and he came out last night, and did he have this incredible game? He had 8, 2, and 2, but you saw the comfort, you saw the confidence. Go back to the beginning of the year. I know for a fact he was struggling with his confidence. It hurt him. Like he head down, sad ticker.
But there are growth signs almost at every turn, which I think it tells you that whatever you think about Chauncey Billups and his ability to coach his team to a championship, what he's doing right now, this team is growing.
You're seeing the benefits, and you got DeAndre Ayton's best game out of him last night.
DeAndre Ayton has been playing lights out since he has reacclimated himself after the knee tendonitis. This is my question moving forward. You get guys like Malcolm Brogdon has taken for every game he plays, it's seemingly he has a rest night.
For everybody wondering about, they sit Mal because they're trading him. No, they sat him because they're managing him, because Malcolm Brogdon has been a guy throughout his career who just gets dinged up. He took a knee to right above his thigh. I want to say was that L.A.? I think it was L.A. because him and Scoot, it was the same game that Scoot got knocked out of. They both had the same thing happen where they essentially hyperextended their leg when they took a knee right to the thigh. And Scoot ended up missing a game, and Malcolm ended up coming back and missing, I think, the next one. But they both took deep hits to the quad, and they're sore.
I think that 4 days before the trade deadline, when Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon are both out of the lineup, everybody goes, are they getting traded?
Yeah, and the thing with Jeremy, I'll tell you right now, the guy has had electrodes on his back basically every night following the game. His back's bothering him.
What does this team look like on Thursday, though?
As it stands right now, Mark Stein had the exact same reporting that I've had now for a couple weeks, and nothing has changed. This is from his Substack this morning. Malcolm Brogdon has been openly lobbying the Trailblazers to keep him beyond Thursday's trade deadline. Malcolm Brogdon has told Sean Highkin, has told Jason Quick, has told myself. I have heard from those in the Blazers organization. I've heard from other teams that have called about Malcolm. Most of the league is called about Malcolm Brogdon. Most of the league is called about Malcolm Brogdon. Same thing was true of Jeremy Grant. Every opposing team office that I have talked to has said no traction on either guy, and that has not changed. And as we get closer to the trade deadline, unless the Portland Trailblazers, as I understand it, the Trailblazers are not interested in draft capital for Malcolm Brogdon. They want players that matter. So under 25 players that they can build with.
Those guys don't get dealt at the deadline. We know that.
Typically
History
not.
tells us that. Very rarely do. Mostly guys that are dealt at the deadline are periphery edge guys. Bolster your roster type guys. Do we see the home run trade, for big stars? Yeah, occasionally. But at this point right now, with where Portland is in their rebuild.
And the way that they're playing.
The way that we've seen strides in growth. Look, does this mean that they're going to try to win in this back half? They're not trying to lose games, by the way. Their roster, as we saw last night, just isn't good enough to be quite honest.
And that's what they know. Again, they have played 50 games, Dusty, and they have won 15. This is going to happen naturally. This is who they are.
And so where a move in the value of Malcolm Brogdon will be fortified is as you get into the offseason, as you get closer to the draft, where teams say, we need an upgrade. We don't need to get younger. We need to get older. That's when you make a move for a guy like a Malcolm Brogdon, which is where we can all kind of see that happening. But I do believe that there is something to when you have both Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon saying essentially the same thing, which is we've been part of this before and we've seen this before. And this isn't like Detroit that if we were playing well, they would give us the hook and say, we're not playing to win, which is what Jeremy Grant went through.
No, and I will tell you wholeheartedly, there has been no message from the Blazers front office to Chauncey Billups to lose games. There is no onus of like, hey, we need to make sure we're X, Y, or Z in position. That has not been the case, which is why you see them trying to be competitive in games. And everybody says, they've got to suck. They've got to lose. They've got to maximize. And we were talking about this off air last week on Friday. Personally, I am sick and tired of existing on the poles of you turning all the optimization levels all the way up all the time. Reality does not live there. There are competing interests across the board. You can't have a franchise go out there, particularly in this market, go out there and win 18 games a season for 4 years and stockpile assets. It's not going to happen. They will tune out. This market is already, we are a little more than halfway into the season, and mode is not empty, but it's not what it has been.
Full.
And that's the thing, is like, as much as it's a diehard basketball city, it's a diehard basketball city. It's not a front-running city, but it wants to have something it can lock its teeth into. And right now they don't have that. And so the organization can't sit there and go, yeah, no, we're just going to spin our wheels for 4 years and throw money down the drain. So they've got to continue to at least.
Couldn't you argue this is year 3 of that, though?
It is, though. Yes, it absolutely is. And the organization is not going to take any steps back from what they are right now. But at the same time, the only steps back are like going from what they are right now to one of the 3 worst organizations in basketball. You don't want to live there because there's no guarantee that you're going to get that pick. And somebody asked if Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports said that the Blazers kind of envision themselves like the Rockets next year, where maybe they add some guys and guys get a little bit better and they take a step forward. And it's like, yeah, that very much sounds like what the Blazers do. And people were kind of pushing back on me on Twitter. And it's like, guys, the Rockets are 12th right now in lottery odds. They're still not good. They're still a lotto team. That's the world that they're still in. Like that's still a part of the process. Do I want to see Cooper Flagg in Portland next year? Yes. Yes, come draft time at 2025, I would love to see Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey in Portland. But let's say the Blazers get lucky and end up top 2 in the draft this year, and they get one of Alex Sarr or Zach Rizachet or Cody Williams, and their front court looks a lot better going forward. Dusty, they have 9 guys with a year experience or less on their roster right now. They add 2 more, that's 11.
It's not good, Bob.
Think about that. So you just like... You have to look at the whole picture of what they're trying to do, where they are, and where they're going to understand this. And it's that they're not this team stuck in hell that they were for 5 years. Where if we just add Mario Hezonja or Al Farouk Aminu's production at the 4 actually equates to a
53 wins.
53.8 to be exact. Yeah, just we don't have to do that with this team. They are years away from even having to have stupid discussions like that.
All right, so we're assuming things are quiet on the trade front before Thursday's deadline.
It's as of right now, and again, everything is fluid and everything can change, but right now that's where we sit.